It's just another night for Supernatural Girlz. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girlz.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girlz Radio. I am your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with a very famous numerologist who's about to become more famous, Patricia Kirkman, PK, all the way from Tucson. How are you, PK?
I'm doing fabulously. I think I've decided I'd rather be called infamous.
At our age, we deserve.
Why not?
Infamous.
What the heck?
Why not? That's right. That's right. My goodness. Now, you've got all kinds of things going on. You've got a psychic fair coming up this week.
That's right. Sunday
Tell us all about it.
At the Hilton on right across the street from Reed Park. It's on Alvernon Way. It's absolutely wonderful. We've got a huge, huge room there. We've got about 30 different psychics and healers and people with all kinds of fun stuff. So you can get healed, fixed, turned around, or get a treat, or whatever. It's all available.
It's all there in Tucson. And that's which day is it? Sunday?
Sunday, And
13th. What time?
It's always from 9 until 4.
And there's no charge to get in, right? You just pay for whatever service you want.
That's right. And you can spend the day just walking around chatting with people and never getting a reading. We'd simply still love to have you do that. Come by and find out who we are and what we do.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. Now, we have to talk about the numbers. It's been a very exciting ride this week.
Oh, that it has.
Yes, and we're going to talk about a little bit more because you made a prediction, actually several months and months and months ago. And so we're going to get to that in a second. But first, let's hear about today and tomorrow. What do we got coming up?
Well, one of the things today is a day of everybody being overly sensitive. And by gosh, we're feeling that from one end of the coast to the other because of the way the election went. Some are very high, some are very low. But you're going to find that people are extremely overly sensitive today. And they seem to be weighted down with emotions. Some of them are acting out very fragile. Tears keep coming. The month itself is a sensitive month, and the day doubles it up. So you got to allow some space, a little harmony to cover up things and uplift you. But tomorrow, different story. They're going to feel very optimistic. There's going to be great ideas, the ability to make some positive changes, which is good considering all the things going on. And people are going to realize that their creative side, and they're going to be able to use it and be brimming with ideas, express themselves, give their ideas to others, share, care, and love. And you'll find out that things are going to look 100% better than they did last night.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's very encouraging. Now, we got to get to the brass tacks here. I stayed up all night, watched the election. You did too. And I know most of our audience knows that you had made a prediction.
Yes, I did.
Uri Geller also made a prediction. Uri Geller predicted that Trump was going to win. But you did too. And you also said that this was going to be close. It was going to be a nail biter, right?
And it was.
And it was. I'm telling you what, you said this, you must have said it 5-6 months ago. And you were
some time back that we were talking about it. And then we revalidated it different times when we were talking about different things that were taking place. Because there was never a break where I thought he wasn't going to make it. And of course, with my friends, I kind of stay kind of quiet because a lot of people have their other choices, and I don't want to give them a hard time about it. But
yeah, right.
I really feel he's going to do something positive for us.
I agree. I think that you're right. I think people's animosity towards him is quite unfounded and just a part of the lamestream media brainwashing that occurred for such a long period of time. But again, I have to give you credit, PK, because you nailed it.
Oh, thank you, dear.
You nailed it. And you nailed it, too, in terms of their personalities, because when you first started to do the predictions about the elections, you took both of their names, Trump's name and Hillary's name. And I remember very clearly what you told everybody. And you said, just looking at the numbers, this is what I see. And you said Hillary was out for herself. She was into the money, the greed, the this, the that. She didn't care about anybody but just her. Whereas Trump cared about the country.
And I think that's why he's going to make such a major difference, because he really does care.
Yeah. And I think so many people have, this bad feeling or whatever, but they weren't looking not only from the side of the paranormal, where we got great information, but also there was other information, WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, God bless him, for doing the work that our journalists should have done but didn't. And so,
isn't that the truth?
Yeah, it's really, I mean, one thing that happened from this election is it brought to light all of the corruption that's been going on. And I have a friend on the inside of all of this who told me, he said the reason that it's not going to get prosecuted, it's not going to get indicted at this point is because it goes all the way up to the top. So, he was very forthcoming with that information. But Julian Assange is a hero in all of this, I think. And we have a new leader. And I have to tell you, I know you and I are both happy about it. A lot of people are not, but that's okay. They can have their feelings around this too. But we see great things for this country and wonderful things happening for also disclosure. Now that Julian Assange has finished up all the election stuff, we're hoping he's going to take a trip into the unknown. We want to see those emails about UFO projects, alien abductions, and I hope that's next on his list.
Wouldn't that be nice? And one of the things that you're taking a look at what's been taking place with the situation, it's brought to focus that people that are supposed to be giving us information, our journalists, etc., they haven't been doing it. They've all been kind of padded their little part and gone the other direction, which is
they've been paid shills. Let's call it what it is.
Okay, definitely. So I think it's time that people realize that, hey, people have thoughts and have choices. How dare you try to lead us? We're not lambs being run down the little slope and taken to slaughter. Damn near did, but we didn't.
Yeah, that's true. And there's a heartfelt connection that I haven't felt in a long time with the country and the way that we're going now. So let's hope we're going down the right road. But I got to tell you, this is really cute because you got it right. Uri Geller got it right. There were a few other, I know, people who predicted this.
Right.
Got it right. But also, and this is leading into our show and our fantastic guest tonight, Amelia Kinkade is going to do this in a minute. The animals got it right. This is so adorable. I can't stand it. I found this article. I got to share it with you.
Please do. That's funny. I love it.
It is just so great. So there was this monkey in China. And he was known for accurately predicting the winners of soccer matches. So they decided his name, he has a Chinese name, but it means goosebumps. That was his name.
Right.
How cute. And he was presented with life-size cutouts of Trump and Clinton. And so the monkey chose Trump. Trump was going to win, so that's what the monkey said. And he not only did he choose Trump, but he climbed onto the cutout to give Trump a kiss. I mean, it was just adorable. So it's on our Facebook page if you want to read the whole article and see the photograph of the monkey. But they gave the monkey the choice and said who's going to win. And of course, the monkey, guess what, was right. They also, now reporters went, this is another situation, went to a local dog park holding chew toys in the image of Trump and Clinton. And the dogs were asked to select which one was going to win. And the dogs, guess what? They picked Trump. So, I've always said animals know more than we do. And here you go. There's proof. So they knew who was going to win the election before any of us. Isn't that something? Well, not before you, because you knew.
Well, I think it's fabulous. We have so many tools available to us. Gosh, if we just were able to use them all.
I know. And tonight, we have a spectacular guest that I am so honored to tell you all she's here with us tonight to talk to us about animal communication on a whole other level. And her name is Amelia Kinkade. She travels the world teaching people to communicate with our fellow animals. And she's the author of lots of books. But tonight, we're going to be talking to her about Whispers from the Wild. So we're talking to wild animals. They've got a big message for us, and we got to listen up. So we're going to find out all about her exciting life, which is very exciting. My God, could you imagine? I mean, I was reading this book. I couldn't put it down just to hear about her next adventure.
I cannot believe the adventures that she has been through and how she communicates with different animals that I would be running like the devil from. And she just very nicely just plays with it.
Big elephants. Oh, my God. Well, let's bring her on. I can't wait to talk to her. So, Amelia, welcome to the show.
Hi there. Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful intro. And thank you. And what an incredibly upbeat intro. And I think that's really fantastic because I want to talk about being able to feel powerful in our ability to change the world around us.
And that's what we need to do, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think one of the amazing things that this election did, no matter what side people were on, I've never seen the American public be so passionate about politics in my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I agree.
In
Very
my lifetime, we've been pretty jaded. After the Vietnam War, there were a lot of people that thought, well, we can't trust our own government. And, there are a lot of things we could tie in and talk about, including Edgar Mitchell and what they could possibly disclose with UFO information that's been, top secret.
Yes,
but
indeed.
Now, people are starting to care again. Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing happening globally with the animals. We've had situations like the outrage where the dentist murdered a very popular celebrity.
Yes, that was terrible. That was terrible.
And that's nothing new. It's not that can lion hunting just, showed up in the last decade. Can lion hunting has been going on for decades. Lion hunting has been going on. But canned lion hunting is where the lion is raised in captivity, bottle-fed, trusts people, and then a hunter pays up to $500,000. They call themselves a hunter to go over there and murder a completely tame lion.
That's terrible.
Sickening. That's sickening.
No, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's the epitome of wickedness. And the beautiful thing is that Americans are starting to stand up and protest. We're starting to care and to feel that we can make a difference. There have been some big changes with the elephant welfare in the last couple of years. The idea that elephants are now outlawed from the Barnum and Bailey circus is huge.
That's phenomenal. Yes.
We don't need to torture tigers and lions and monkeys and elephants in our circuses. We have Cirque du Soleil. We don't need animals in the circus. Nothing is more beautiful than Cirque du Soleil. So that may start a chain reaction that I hope will include outlawing all the other animals in the circuses, especially the big cats, which, as you know, are one of my hugest passions.
Yes.
And hopefully will evolve into not allowing elephants to be in captivity in the zoos, because I'm certainly not anti-zoo by any means. I work with a lot of wonderful zoos that do some terrific conservation work. And some of the animals there tell me amazing stories, and they're very happy. But one animal that cannot be in captivity is elephants.
For heaven's sakes.
Yeah, they need to be able to walk so many miles in a day even. And they're herd animals. They're family-oriented. They're incredibly loving. In an elephant society, there's no such thing as an orphan. All the other women take that baby in. And if you really think about it, the idea that human orphanages are full and that the human women won't go get all those babies out and say, if this child needs a home, I have a home for this baby. But elephants do that. If one elephant is sick, the group will assign a nursemaid for that sick one or elderly one so that they can walk at that pace, help them along. They're a very ancient society. They're an ancient being. And they have so much wisdom to teach us. If only people could learn how to listen.
Well, that's your job, is to teach us this. And this is something that you do. I mean, not only do you communicate with these animals, the big cats and the elephants and people's pets, but I saw on your website, you also have classes that you give where you're trying to teach us how to be able to do this, how to listen.
Well, I can tell you that since I published my first book in 2001, Straight from the Horse's Mouth came out in 2001 and got published around the world, which at that time was a miracle to me. I mean, this was a little tear-stained diary that I'd been, crying over in the middle of the night, writing my stories just so I could show my niece what her crazy aunt was doing for a living. And then when it got published by Random House, which is the biggest publisher in the world, and got translated into all these languages, well, you could have knocked me down with a feather. And I started a world tour 16 years ago that has never stopped. So I've taught animal communication classes in England, all over Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Portugal, now Brazil, South Africa, Zambia, Rwanda, Canada, Mexico, all over America, the Canary Islands, now Poland. I just got to lecture in Warsaw. So it's becoming far less taboo. And as I'm teaching people, it's not just that I'm going in demonstrating, saying, oh, this is some magical thing that I can do that you can't do. I teach that everyone has intuition and that everyone can cultivate the ability to hear what their dogs and cats and horses are needing and feeling and thinking and wanting. It's as much a part of our body. And, with Patricia here, I'm definitely preaching to the choir. It's like saying, I don't believe in music. I don't believe in hearing. I don't believe in color. I don't believe in the ability to see or to taste or to touch. Our intuition is as much a part of our body as any of our other senses, maybe even more so because it's seated so deeply in our body and our consciousness and every cell of our body. So we're reacting to the world around us and to the animals around us, and they're reacting to us. So the goal is to learn how to set this new consciousness of peace, power, calm, confident, in charge. That's the true alpha. And perhaps that's why the dogs were going to the picture of Trump. Because of, that kingly energy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That people may not agree with him or believe that he's right, but he's certainly my way or the highway. And a lot of alpha dogs, I just came from a wolf sanctuary in Norway, and that's the way the animals are. The king of the tribe is the king of the tribe, whether you like him or not, And right. I think maybe that's what the animals were responding to.
It's quite possible. I mean, we've heard stories before about animals being able to predict things. Mm-hmm. Obviously, earthquakes and things like that, their senses are on high for all of that, where our senses are dulled to the magnetic fields. But let me ask you this. I saw in your book you mentioned Beatrice Lydecker, who many years ago, we're talking a lifetime ago, read my animals.
Oh my goodness.
And so I've known Beatrice through her work, and she was absolutely amazing. Loved her. And I know the first time she read my animals, I just started crying, because to be able to hear their thoughts was such a moving experience. To be able to hear what they were thinking and feeling, I just started crying. That's all I can tell you. It was amazing. So Beatrice was also someone who mentored you?
That's right. She had that exact same effect on me. When I first went to see her, and this was in the 80s, I had no idea I had any psychic ability. And I wasn't so sure that she could talk to animals. I never met anybody that could talk to animals. And at that time, Beatrice was going from one veterinarian's office to another, driving around America in a truck full of dogs. And she would get out and diagnose the problems that the vets couldn't solve. So this is the story of Straight from the Horse's Mouth. This was my first book, Straight from the Horse's Mouth, was about this very cantankerous cat named Rodney. And this little kitten would go off like a fire alarm every time I left the apartment. And I was in an apartment building where I brought in this rescued cat, and I wasn't supposed to have cats. So he got me kicked out of one apartment building and was about to get me kicked out of another apartment building when this very mysterious woman was coming to town to work with Dr. John Craig, my vet, who was so light years ahead of his time. And when I took Rodney in to see, and I'll give you just a couple of examples, quick examples. She says to me, "Oh, I'm asking him his favorite place in the house." And he says, "On the back of a peach-colored armchair in your den." And the peach armchair is covered in white flowers, and it overlooks a bay window. And outside the bay window, across the street, is a wooden fence. And behind that wooden fence is a little white dog. And he goes,
that's so incredibly detailed.
That is fabulous.
Yeah.
He goes over there and makes that dog bark. Well,
that stinker.
I mean, how many people have a peach-colored armchair with white flowers in the den? Of course, there was a little white terrier across the street, and I didn't know my cat was going over there to torment that dog.
That's so cute.
But she taught a workshop, and I went in there trembling and teary-eyed and just certain that I'd be the only person in the room that couldn't do it, which is what all my students feel like, no matter where they come from. And when we launch into this transcendental state of pure love, acknowledging that the God within us is the same God that's within those animals, that the divine creator that created every living being on this planet. And you talked to me about dangerous animals, and I'll get more into that later, but that's why I can work with predators that scare other people or that other people don't see as beautiful. I'm seeing the beauty in these animals. I'm seeing the God consciousness inside the tiger and the snake and the shark. I know she's beautiful. I know she's vulnerable. I know she's emotional. I know she's worthy of our protection. So going in with this entirely different attitude creates an avenue where information can get transferred back and forth from you and your animal on a bridge of light.
Now, is this something that you do with pictures, so that when you communicate, are you doing it by opening your mind to receiving pictures from like a big cat, for example, or are you hearing things? How do you do it?
Well, it's almost like being inside a movie where you are now the character in that movie. I'll go on with my story because I think it's a good, for instance, to this question that you just asked.
Okay, great.
When Beatrice taught this workshop, she brought out a big female dog. And she said, ask the dog her favorite toy. So we're going to visualize what's her favorite toy, something in her mouth. She's running for it. She loves to pick it up in her mouth. And I don't see a toy. I see a red and white striped hat on her head. Now, to make it a little crazier, I heard a voice inside my head that said, I like to wear my red and white striped visor. And I went, oh boy. Okay, when it starts happening, and the difference between psychic and psychotic is when you're psychic, you're right.
That's a good one.
I could be in an insane asylum if I said this to the wrong people. And fortunately, I ended up lecturing all over the world instead, because
that's much better.
But people resonate with the truth, and they know the truth that there are ways to pick up pictures, thoughts, ideas, sensation in your body, pain in your body, I can go into their mind, run their memories, go back in time, look at their medical records. It's as if we're looking at x-rays, as if you could energetically take an imprint of that animal, come back with that information, and read the information. So this first class, when it first happened for me, I went off on my own inquiry, which I think is what made it so available for me, that I didn't feel like I was being tested, being given test questions. I asked the dog, have you ever had puppies? And if you did, were you ever in love? And I found myself inside her body. And I was skimming with my nose just a few inches above the grass. I stopped to smell a pine cone, and it was the most delicious smell I've ever smelled in my life. I looked up, and there was a giant pine tree. I looked behind me. There was a trailer home. In front of me was a chain link fence, and behind that fence was a big black, kind of like a Labrador dog. And I, as her, went running toward him and raised my mouth to his and licked his lips. And I heard her say, if I could have had puppies, I would have wanted to have them with him. Then I said, what happened? She said, Mother got divorced and we had to leave the trailer home and we had to leave him behind. And now, and I went through the process of feeling the pain of her hysterectomy. I looked down and I saw the incision. I felt the pain. She said, now I've had operation, so I can't have puppies, but I take care of all the neighborhood cats. And I found myself nosing all these sweet-smelling little fluffball cats. Well, the woman who was the guardian of the dog just burst into tears and not only was not skeptical, but was instantly saying, tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I didn't know that she was so in love with that other dog. And we had to leave the trailer home behind the big pine tree. I got divorced and I had to move away. And I didn't know how much she loved him. And I didn't know how much she wanted to have puppies. So in that moment, I became a translator between species. And I just kind of never looked back. It's escalated from that moment on. I mean, my students now will get names, details, street names, numbers on houses, names of medical problems, all sorts of past relationship issues, injuries. And if I can teach my students to get names, because I'm clairaudient, I get names. If I say, oh, your great-grandmother Olivia is in the house and your dog sees Olivia's spirit, and Olivia used to play the piano, and Olivia was married to a man who died in World War II in France. I mean, this is the kind of thing that happens when I'm reading a dog. Now, that's how I know that I'm tuned in, because if that woman can say, oh, my goodness, my grandmother Olivia played the piano. Yes, my grandfather was in World War II. You know, this kind of thing.
Amazing.
That
leads you through.
That's right.
The connections. Well, it's very detailed. I mean, the work that you're doing it goes beyond what I've seen a lot of animal communicators do, and it's wonderful because I think when we come to a reader like you with our pets, or larger animals, horses, etc., we want as much detail as possible, and it's not the easiest thing to get. And I know, especially if the animal isn't feeling well, we really want to know, what's causing the problem. Is there a way to fix it? And I find myself stymied when my dogs don't feel well. I go into panic mode because I don't know what's going on. I don't want the vet to just throw drugs at them. And so having a gift like you have is so important, because then you can get to the bottom of it. But look, we're going to have to continue this conversation after the break. We're going to take a very short break, but everybody stay tuned, and you can write questions in the chat room. I see a bunch of them have lined up for Amelia. And again, she's the author of a tremendous heartfelt book, which is called Whispers from the Wild, and it's excellent. You need to read it. You need to get this book. Everybody who loves animals should get this book. So stay tuned, everybody. You are listening to Supernatural Girlz Radio, and we'll be right back.
listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
You didn't forget what's coming up tonight, did you? Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Never miss that interview you were looking forward to or the show on your favorite topic. Follow IRN on Twitter, I_R_N, and get reminders about the evening's live shows as well as fun and important updates throughout the week. That's I_R_N, and never miss a great show again.
My name is Ezra, and I'm from thehighendend.org. You've heard of medical marijuana, but who can you trust for proper guidance? Here at thehighendend.org, we have all the information you need. Did you know that scientists have discovered cannabis can reduce inflammation, pain, and spasms? It's helped my patients reduce the symptoms of autoimmune diseases, PTSD, autism, and insomnia. A compound from hemp called CBD is doing wonders for intestinal issues, anxiety, and the nervous system. I sell this compound at thehighendend.org. I've worked as a medical marijuana consultant and educator for the past 6 years, and here at thehighendend.org, I can help you choose from the hundreds of cannabis strains and products and find the ones that are best for your needs. To learn more about cannabis, schedule a Skype or phone consultation, or to have a CBD product shipped right to your door, visit thehighendend.org. That's thehighendend, all one word, .org. I'll help make your health high-end.
Hi, can you hear my voice? Imagine how many other people can hear it too. If you have advertising needs, then look no further. The Inception Radio Network currently has openings for on-air advertisements and radio show sponsorships. Given any thought to your target demographic? Inception has you covered there too. Advertising on a network gives you multiple opportunities to advertise on a wide variety of radio show broadcasts, and we have one to fit every advertising need. You know, in recent years, internet radio has exhibited a phenomenal listener growth. An Arbitron Edison survey shows that online radio boosts at least 33 million unique visitors each week and 54 million each month. And that number amazingly continues to grow. And these listeners are a part of many businesses' core demographics. And surveys have shown that internet radio listeners are far more likely than regular radio listeners to spend money on a whole range of activities. You know, internet listeners vote, they dine out and eat fast food, and they grab a cup of coffee. And here's the interesting one. They buy items online at a much higher rate than all other market segments combined. Internet radio also enables businesses to connect with consumers during work hours, where increasingly more lifestyle decisions are being made. Advertise with the best. The Inception Radio Network offers competitive advertising rates to fit just about anyone's advertising budget. Stop by today at www.inceptionradionetwork.com or call us toll-free at 1-888-919-2355. Get the word out. Get results with the Inception Radio Network.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Hello, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Remember, you can take your Inception Radio shows on the go. Just download the Inception Radio Network app for your iPhone, iPad, or Android smartphones and access live shows, past shows, guest lineups, and much more. Just visit the iTunes Store or the Google Play Marketplace and download it today for free.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are you getting screwed on your property taxes? How to find out and how to fix it. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girlz Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with my co-host, PK, and our amazing guest tonight, animal communicator Amelia Kinkade, who has written a terrific book, Whispers from the Wild. She not only communicates with dogs, cats, all of our pets, but also wild animals, big cats, elephants, whales. She does it all. We're going to find out her secrets tonight. So, Amelia, how do you calm yourself before you talk to these big cats? I mean, I know you've been in Africa with these cats because we've read your book, which is amazing, and everybody should read it. And you've been unprotected. I mean, you're right next to them, right? Talking to them.
Well, in the safaris that I lead, and I've got one on my website now that'll go out in November of 2017. And that's at Mafui Lodge, where the elephants actually walk through the lobby.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, we'll come back to that story. So that's where I'm taking people this year, we're hoping to have Thanksgiving dinner with the elephants, who'll be coming into the hotel and strolling through the lobby on the way to their favorite mango tree. But there are a lot of different ideas that we can explore when we're thinking about wild animals and our perceptions of them, and where that fear comes from. You know, what is that fear? Some people are afraid of birds. Some people are afraid of spiders. Some people are afraid of mice. And the fear itself is very it's not real. It's a projection. And that projection comes from different people toward different animals for different reasons. And most of it's preconceived notions. I mean, all we have about these animals are the books that we've read about, say, great white sharks, the shows that we've seen about great white sharks, the movies that have been made that depict them as monsters and demons, and some of the fears that may actually have come over from sailors and sea monsters that got projected on sharks and whales. But I encourage people to have an authentic experience with the individual that animal is. Now, I'm opening this book with a story about an ailing tiger. Well, I loved him, and he loved me. So there was absolutely nothing there to be afraid of. Animals are far more straightforward than human beings. Human beings are the shifty ones. And I'll acknowledge the fact that we are the dangerous one, not them. They're vulnerable, beautiful, trying to live in harmony with the world, trying to protect their families. And we're coming in, encroaching on their territory, and doing some pretty devilish deeds in our treatment of them. So if I'm absolutely in a state of awe and grace and unconditional love with that animal and with every animal that I meet, it's almost a difference between AM and FM. We're learning how to switch our frequency onto a frequency where all living beings are connected on a spider web of light. I mean, the internet's a great analogy. I used to use the analogy of a television set, that if information's being transferred invisibly through the airwaves, We never acknowledge that. I mean, you're not going to walk into a room and say, oh my goodness, look at all these radio waves, look at all these television programs. But if you turn on the television, you expect it to work. And it gathers that information and reenacts it in a way that you can now watch a movie that was filmed in Hollywood, even if you're in Sweden or Australia or China. So this is the same thing. Invisible information is traveling through the atmosphere on waves. And what we lack as human beings is the mechanism to pick it up. And the mechanism is something that's inside our bodies. It's hardwired into us. And we lose the ability to telepath because we choose to focus on other things. We're simply not paying attention to it. So the evolution of this work, and that's learning to get real specific details. That's when you're getting, oh, there's another cat at home, he's black and white, his name is Charlie, one of his teeth just got knocked out. I mean, that's the kind of thing that I get. But it's being able to love that animal and concentrate to the exclusion of all else. I'm not going to let anything else distract me. Nothing's going to keep me from loving that tiger, because I love tigers, or that lion, or that shark. And I don't care what anybody else thinks or what their prejudices are. I'm here to love these animals and see how I can make a difference in the world. And a lot of people feel this way. They just don't have anywhere to get that. They can't share it, they can't get it gratified. And now they can come to me. And I get to hear remarkable stories of people having telepathic conversations, dreaming things, having hunches about problems that maybe haven't even occurred yet. And everybody has this ability. It's just a matter of getting quiet and learning how to listen.
Well, that's wonderful, and I'm hopeful that that's something PK and I can work on and develop. Now, here's a couple questions for you from our chat room. Tricia is asking, are we just less in tune with our intuition than the animals appear to be?
Absolutely. Now, animals are already using this kind of internet system. So let's say that this is the ability to get online. It's the ability to get online with God, with the God consciousness within you, within every animal, the creator, and that divine intelligence that's within every living thing, and that's within us. So when we acknowledge that that Spirit of God is within us, and that Spirit of God has a way to communicate and resonate with everything else that is also the Spirit of God. See, I'm not seeing what other people see. I'm not seeing, oh, this is a dying poodle named Mitzi who has diabetes. I'm seeing this is a radiant, angelic being, and I'm going to acknowledge the beauty of her and the consciousness within her. And therefore, I can connect with that consciousness. It's a heart-to-heart conversation. So the animals are already talking to each other. Elephants, we couldn't even begin to scratch the surface of what they're doing. That they're sending vibrations through their feet. They're being able to hear and respond to herds that are getting scared by helicopters in a different part of Africa. Now scientists are proving that their ability to communicate with each other is that astute. With sharks, I couldn't even tell you why. I have the ability to pick up on sonar that's underneath the water, that's on another continent, another hemisphere of the world. So they can be in the ocean in South Africa while I'm in Hollywood. And if they send me a signal, I can hear their message.
So
for you, you can really go past this space-time continuum. It doesn't matter where you are, which is terrific. Now, here's another question. This one is from Space Traveler, wants to know, what do animals have that allow them to detect major illnesses in people?
Okay, same thing, we're tied into that. Now, the idea here is called non-locality. In non-locality, we are in a place outside of space and time where there's nothing but grace and love. We're in the consciousness that created the planet before the planet was even created. So the animals are already talking to each other. It's almost as if I can overhear nature while she's thinking. All of nature is thinking and feeling. We have to get very quiet in order to overhear them. Now, some animals, like dogs in particular, can actually smell cancer. The truth of the matter is that if a dog's nasal passages were unraveled, they'd be the size of a football field. And
oh my gosh, really?
Good grief.
That is the statistic. And if a human being's nasal passages were unraveled, they'd be the size of a postage stamp.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
But animals can also run body scans on us. They can perceive things using this, not sixth sense. Edgar Mitchell called it our first sense. He said, before babies can talk, all babies have to intuit. They have to use telepathy. Of course, you know that your infant is thinking and feeling, especially if she's keeping you up all night at the top of her lungs. She just can't put it into words yet. And that idea is also true with indigenous tribes, that before civilizations had written languages, they were far more intuitive. As we know, I'm Cherokee and Choctaw. And the African shaman and the Aborigines and the Eskimos don't think that these ideas are so outlandish at all. This is not a new age. This is the old wisdom. So it could be because your dog knows your medical conditions, your animals know everything that's going on with you. Emotionally, they know what you're thinking, they know what you're stressed about, they know what you're worried about. When I do a reading, they can tell me the boss's name, and the woman will say, but my dog's never met my boss. And said, but you know the boss's name, so it's in your mind. And the animals are already reading us, doing multiple scans. They know everything about us. And we are the toddlers of the species on this planet, that we're just beginning to learn how to use these senses so that we can hear and feel what other living beings are thinking. This empathy goes, it applies to everything. It can apply to your human relationships too.
So the problem is basically simple. It's us. We're not practiced in getting on these frequencies. I have a specific question. This is kind of an interesting one. I have 2 Shih Tzus.
Oh, I love them.
To me, they're like so human. I don't even think they're dogs anymore. But one of them loves to stare at me, and
oh yeah,
I'm telling you, it's intense. What is the message in that? I mean, it's really intense.
Yeah, it's, hey, I'm talking to you. Do you hear me? Do you hear me yet?
Yeah, now no, I don't. I just see the staring because I'm.
But it will, and it can happen. It is like flipping on a light switch.
So he's basically, with the staring, trying to let me know he's got something to say.
He's trying to talk to you.
Okay. That makes sense.
And I'm sure that you know that Shih Tzus were considered divine beings and that they were in the temples of the monks in the Himalayas.
Yes.
And I'm sure you know that. And then when China overtook Tibet, they took these dogs and made them the official dog of the Chinese dynasty. Shih Tzus are very magical beings. I mean, I'm not allowed to play favorites in my world because I love every being, from a kangaroo to a, guinea pig to a giant tortoise. I have all sorts of clients in different shapes and sizes and forms. But amongst dogs, I feel that Shih Tzus can download so much healing energy. They're like little Ark of the Covenants running around.
Huh. How interesting.
I never met a Shih Tzu that wasn't a healer.
Oh, and, darned.
And the Tibetan monks believe that the Shih Tzus are reincarnated monks.
Oh, no kidding.
I've met a few Shih Tzus that I knew were reincarnated monks. You could tell.
Incredible. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I have a lot of friends with Shih Tzus. They'll be very excited to hear this information. Now, when you talk about the reincarnation aspect, you also mentioned that in your book with the big cats.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, sure. They the story that I tell is about a very peculiar chocolate Persian house cat that I had. And this cat never would say meow. He'd say, roar. Roar.
That was such a good part of the book.
Come up and headbutt me when I'm in the bubble bath. And I said, you have got to be kidding me. He's headbutting the bathtub. You want me to pick you up and put you in this bathroom? And finally, I just did it. He was the biggest cat I've ever seen in my life. The great love of my life before this was Mr. Jones, as most people know, who was a gigantic Maine Coon. Well, this was a gigantic chocolate baby doll Persian. He was huge. I mean, the size of a Shih Tzu, easily. And wow. I hoisted this cat up and put him in the bathtub. And he lay back in my arms and purred. Was just saying, I'm a rock star. I used to put him in my car and drive with him down the freeway in Los Angeles, and oh my goodness, he would stop traffic. Oh, Doc was such a celebrity. People would be rolling down the windows, hanging out the windows. I mean, here's this cat dancing to music. And he had a lot of lion-like qualities. He'd attack gigantic dogs, which I'm sorry to say was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, with my little house cat cornering a huge dog who's cowering, trying to get away from him. But in this chapter, this is the lion chapter, I go on to talk about the possibility that when I went to Africa and had a lioness waiting for me on the truck, and that lioness, this is my very first safari that I've ever had in my life, came shimming down the hillside with her mate. She said, Amelia, there's someone I want you to meet. And she brought out this gorgeous teenage boy. And the two of them came down and started mating right in front of my truck. And at that moment, I realized Doc was dying.
Oh.
He was back in Manhattan with the cat sitter, and I had always gotten the message from him, you've got to go to Africa. You have to go to Africa. Your work is in Africa. When I finally realized that he was dying, and I asked this lioness why she was mating in front of me, she said to me, I need you to bless our union, as if I were performing a marriage ceremony for two lions. And then she said, I need you to bless the inception of my first child.
Oh.
And it took me a while to realize it was him. That's his mother.
Mm.
And she'll be coming to meet me this November. She comes and meets me every single year. And after this, 3 cubs were born, and all 3 cubs were killed.
What?
Africa can be pretty hectic. But I still fully anticipate that I'll see him again there. But I see animals. I mean, everywhere I teach in the world, I can have 100 people in a room, and I'll say, how many of you feel like you've had the same animal more than once? Is your animal now one that you have known before in a prior body in your lifetime? I would say at least 75% of the hands go up. Now, I can be in Belgium or Portugal, or it doesn't matter where I'm lecturing. It always works the same. And people will say, I'll say, how do you know? Because the dog does the same strange little thing that the last one did. The cat jumps in the bathtub and turns around and around and makes a funny sound, or the dog licks that person's left ear. And now we can actually set up signs so that we can ask those animals that are passing away if they want to reincarnate, if they want to come back, what will they look like? Where will we find them? Will they be male or female? And how will you set up a sign so that you know it's them? And I can tell you consistently that these animals come back when they say they're going to come back, looking the way they say they're going to come back, and even demonstrating whatever the sign was that they set up with that person to let that person know that it is indeed them again.
That's great. I know I've had animals that I feel have come back, and it's a wonderful feeling because I got to tell you, when I lose an animal, it just devastates me. Devastates me. I mean, in your book here, I'm reading about, the lion that's dying of cancer, or somebody who shoots one of these magnificent animals, and my heart breaks. It's hard for me to get over it. So it's really nice to know that these animals can come back, and they do, and I believe that they do. I know I've had that experience myself. But I really have to credit you because you've got to have some kind of thick skin to be able to go to Africa, where a lot of these things can go sideways, and these beautiful animals are killed by people, poached, or I don't know, whatever they're doing that the human doesn't like, and then the human takes out their gun and it's the end of them. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Well,
go ahead.
It's true, corruption abounds, and we can either make the choice to go love them, go tell them that we love them. My charity got approved, so I have a nonprofit that got approved a year ago, May, in record time. It got approved in 2 weeks, and even my attorney said that was a world's record. But with Ark Angel, I go into rural communities and I work with the children. So a year and a half ago, I went to Rwanda for the first time. A minister had been emailing me, asking me to come work with his orphans. And we went out in the middle of nowhere in a parish. I went on my first gorilla trek, so I got to see the mountain gorilla wild and up close, which is absolutely riveting, life-changing. And I had 180 little tiny children that had never held a crayon, that had never had a piece of paper, most of which didn't have shoes, maybe hadn't eaten in God only knows how long, because there is not a lot of food up there. And we danced as gorilla, we drew gorilla, we made up theater about gorillas and poaching so that these children understand they can get jobs protecting the animals, that the long-term solution for conservation is educating the next generation. And I think that's something that we all can do, even on a small scale. I went to Zambia and then did the same thing with the elephants, drawing elephants, dancing as elephants. I went into the schools. I went into the schools in the Kruger and did a Cecil campaign for that lion that got killed by that dentist. And the children get it. I mean, I think that they're all born with their conscience intact. I think we all are. And things happen where the adults shame that psychic ability out of us. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, gosh, yes. We hear that all the time from people who start out with these amazing abilities and then it kind of gets beaten out of them. So it's a wonderful thing that you're doing with your charity, Ark Angels, and teaching this next generation about poaching not being a good thing, because I would imagine if they're in poverty, they're looking at this as a way out of poverty. And so you're teaching them, no, that's not the right road to take, which is terrific. It's not. It's not the right road. And these animals are so, I mean, like you said, they have so much wisdom. They have so much to tell us. And we just, I mean, there's people, human beings that I should say they're not even human beings. And they treat these animals as less than, but they're not less than. So anyway, so we are going to take another very short break. And we're going to come back and talk more about your charity, how we can help, where people can go to get a reading with you, for their pets or their horses or whatever. And we also have chat room questions. We've got a lot to do in the next half hour. So we are talking with Amelia Kinkade, a wonderful animal communicator who has written a book called Whispers from the Wild. And we will be right back. You're listening to Supernatural Girlz Radio. Stay tuned.
Listening to IRN, the Inception Radio Network, Chicago, Illinois.
Hi, Inception Radio Network listeners. This is Amanda. Just a reminder that Inception Radio Network is on Twitter. Follow us at I_R_N and keep up to date about who's on tonight, what interviews they'll be doing, who's guest spotting, what topics they'll be covering. Tweet to us, tweet about us, retweet topics to your friends, and most importantly, never miss a great show again. That's I_R_N.
Don't have a computer? Is your internet connection down? Don't worry. Use your trusty cell phone or landline and call into our listen line at 401-283-6700 to listen to the Inception Radio Network 24/7. Again, that call-in number is 401-283-6700. For the Inception Radio Network, I am MJ.
My name is Ezra, and I'm from the highend.org. You've heard of medical marijuana, but who can you trust for proper guidance? Here at the highend.org, we have all the information you need. Did you know that scientists have discovered cannabis can reduce inflammation, pain, and spasms? It's helped my patients reduce the symptoms of autoimmune diseases, PTSD, autism, and insomnia. A compound from hemp called CBD is doing wonders for intestinal issues, anxiety, and the nervous system. I sell this compound at thehighend.org. I've worked as a medical marijuana consultant and educator for the past 6 years, and here at thehighend.org, I can help you choose from the hundreds of cannabis strains and products and find the ones that are best for your needs. To learn more about cannabis, schedule a Skype or phone consultation, or to have a CBD product shipped right to your door, visit thehighend.org. That's thehighend, all one word, .org. I'll help make your health high-end.
Hello, Inception Radio Network. Would you like your favorite show to be played again live on air? Well, now the choice is in your hands with IRN's live request portal, an easy way to request your favorite show with a simple click. IRN's live request portal now gives you exclusive access to all the shows. How easy is it? Simply type a show name or a guest name, click request, even write a dedication message, and that's it. Try it now. Simply visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com, click on the live request tab under the show menu. Now playing your favorite show is just a mouse click away.
Are you a fan of Inception Radio Network? Do you reckon it's the best alternative talk radio station on the planet? Well, if you do, head to facebook.com/Inception Radio Network and like the page. Tell your friends, spread the word, and keep listening to the best.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.kosmicfusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to Supernatural Girlz Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker. I'm here with numerologist and co-host PK, and our incredible guest tonight, Amelia Kinkade. She is an animal communicator extraordinaire with a new book out, Whispers from the Wild. So, PK, you had a question.
Yes. I was wondering, a friend of mine asked me about why do so many people carry therapy dogs with them? I don't know if they're all therapy dogs, but that's what they call them. And they're bringing them into a casino or any other place. They've got them tucked under their arm. And she's noticed that this seems to be particularly true with the millennials.
Well, some of those things are certainly physical disabilities that people need help with. Mm-hmm. I recently worked with a lady who trains the dogs for blind children for the Pet Assistance Dogs of the West. She's in Santa Fe, and she trains FBI dogs, and she trains dogs that are the first ones on a scene where there's been trauma. And what they find is, let's say there's been a bombing. Mm-hmm. If those dogs get on that scene first, and they get to the victims first, and the victim can reach out and touch the dog, the victim's body gets filled with endorphins. That's what happens when we pet a dog or a cat. Now, the dog's body also will release endorphins, so they like it as well. But that person is less likely to go into shock. They have less blood loss. Sometimes it saves that patient's life. And they're being trained, of course, as you know, to do all sorts of things for crippled children and for elderly people, from, carrying car keys to picking up drop glasses to even being an alert animal for diabetes. I knew an alert animal for a diabetic child who was a parrot, and they found it out by a mistake. The parrot kept plucking all her feathers out, and she knew it when the child was about to have a diabetic attack.
Oh, my. For heaven's sakes. Goodness.
But also, I think, this is my own personal opinion, it's our connection to the wild. We're not out there running barefoot through the forest or swimming in the waterfall as we should be, as we always were. We're now living in little concrete buildings and wooden boxes. Humans love cages. We love to put ourselves in cages. We like to put other beings in cages. And most humans aren't real comfortable out in the wild with wild animals. And I think that little dog or that beautiful cat, and certainly that beautiful horse, is your connection to everything that's wild and sacred in nature.
Oh, that's nice then. So these people that are carrying their dogs with them, it's that reminder as well as that deeper connection, right?
Well, great. I'd carry a tiger with me if I could.
In some cases you see them and it's almost like they're carrying a binky with them. It's not that what the dog or cat will do to protect them. It's the security that they get by holding on to it. And they dress it like a child, or they'll do things like that. And you're seeing more and more of that.
Well, I'm not going to deny that, because I think that is also true. But to be carrying around someone who is unconditionally loving, who's always attentive to your needs, who'll cheer you up no matter what mood you're in or what bad day you had or what went wrong. You've got somebody with you that's going to lick your face.
That's important. That's important.
And they're going to cheer us. They're going to make us exercise. Mm-hmm. They're going to heal us. They're going to make us laugh. And this is a little angelic intervention in the body of a dog. I mean, it's an angel in a dog suit.
Oh, so, I love that.
Sounds great. That's exactly what I'm going to tell them. For now, when they see one and they're trying to figure out why, this is it.
There you go.
It doesn't bother me at all. My take on it is that all love is good love.
Oh, definitely.
If you love your Chihuahua that much and dress him up in little bomber jackets, good for you. Good for you. I'm going to be out Christmas shopping for the Chihuahuas that I know. I've already started adding to their wardrobes. The dogs that I know like it, or I wouldn't be even making this joke. Yeah. If they're cold, and the one I'm referring to, it gets cold and wet in Dallas. He's just a little Chihuahua, and he loves having a sweater or a jacket on.
Sure. I've got sweaters for my dogs. They probably have a better wardrobe than me at this point.
Well, where you live, they need rain boots.
They need all kinds of jackets. I have parkas, all kinds of stuff. Well, here's the question for you from Daria in the chat room. She says, do we tap into different waves that can only be picked up when we are in a certain mood or in a certain temperament?
Yes. So we know that we have alpha, beta, theta brain waves. We know that this is a kind of trance. It's a meditative state. It is a place where your mind is quiet, your emotions are quiet, and I teach people to consciously turn everything off. That said, sometimes information will come through when your body and mind are busy doing something else. Say you're driving the car, or you're taking a shower, or you're doing the dishes. So your ego is distracted with something else. Sometimes intuitive hits are going to come into you when your body's doing some sort of kind of automatic behavior. I get a lot of information when I'm walking. I don't just sit in silent meditation. I'll do walking meditations, go for a walk outside every morning, and stay tuned into the animal clients that I'm reading while I'm walking. And they're able to get messages into us when our subconscious is open.
Okay, so that's helpful to know. So, Daria, I hope that answers your question. And we wanted to ask you about whales. Amazing beings, these whales.
Wow. Well, I told a few different whale stories. One of the most fun one of the stories, one of the funny stories happened here in Southern California, where I was on a world tour, and I've been living out of a suitcase for 9 months this time, and now I'm back in Los Angeles. I'm about to teach in Palm Springs. We'll talk about that in March if people want to see me in person. And a reader emailed, and she was a German veterinarian living here in Southern California. And she had a friend who takes people out on these whale and dolphin cruises off of Dana Point here, just south of Los Angeles. So he was completely skeptical. And she said she wanted us to meet. And of course, he thought I was crazy. And we went out and met him and had dinner. And he still had no reason to be a believer in any of this. But this veterinarian scheduled a birthday party on a whale boat. She wanted the whales to come on a Sunday afternoon. She invited 10 of her friends. I was sitting in my office in North Hollywood at the time. And as I'm sitting at my computer, meditating on the party, thinking about the party, a gigantic whale just swims into my mind. And then another and another and another and another. There were 5 of them.
My goodness.
And I'm not a whale expert. I did what I could to research whales for this book, but they were huge. They were absolutely huge. Excuse me. And they said,
Bless you.
Thank you. They said, tell her we're in a hurry and we can't wait until Sunday. We're on our way down and we'll swim past on Saturday. We'll meet you on Saturday, but we can't wait until Sunday. We've got somewhere to go. And I called her and I said, listen, the whales appeared to me. They said they're coming on Saturday and not on Sunday. This amazing veterinarian was so trusting. She called the 10 women and she called off the party. And she took me out on the whaleboat on Saturday. I was driving down there in a frenzy on Friday to try to get there in time in traffic.
Yes.
The very skeptical captain took me up into his little special window where the captain is guiding the boat. So it's just 3 of us up there. And I said, there's 5. They're huge. They're coming. And of course, he thought I was crazy. And it takes a little while before the first whale appears. And then another one appears on the other side of the boat. And then another one appears on the left side of the boat. And we look down below us and all the tourists are just screaming. Then another one appears behind us. We're surrounded by 5 huge fin whales. And they took a meeting with us. It was absolutely magical, as if we were surrounded by dinosaurs. Because they are, in a way. They are the equivalent of the dinosaurs of the ocean.
Well, I've heard from a Cherokee medicine woman that the whales carry the history of the entire planet in their cells.
They're the record keepers, and so are the elephants. You see, the elephants are walking their sacred ley lines. They're walking their paths. And a lot of what I'm doing now in Africa has to do with the elephant-human conflict. And again, I don't go in there beating a drum to take a side in a country where these people need to eat, they need to survive, they've got sick kids, they've got dying mothers, they've got to make a living. And if an elephant comes in and just ravages their garden and destroys their home, I mean, I see both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And they are the sacred keepers of geometry. And in the book, I talk about this, about sacred geometry, music, and elephants. And even how bizarre and remarkable it is that our piano keys and our guitar picks are made from ivory.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
Yeah.
They have something to do with music, with vibrations and communication that was here long before we were. And it's the music of the spheres. And the whales also are probably, I hope, interplanetary travelers. All of these animals have designs that are also in other dimensions, that I hope are also on other planets. From what I see, they are. So while this Earth has her transition and is going through the changes that she's going through, the animals are holding the balance, and they're trying to get the humans to be able to communicate with them so that we can communicate with each other.
And hold the balance, because we don't. So
no, we can't even see the point of view of a different religion we're having a war with. And
yes.
And I'm talking about being able to see the point of view of a great white shark, or a orca, or a fin whale, or a sperm whale. One of the amazing conversations that I had. That I was about to go out on a whaleboat. This had happened even before that party, and I was in the Puget Sound. And this is not a happy story, but I'll make it very brief. The night before I was going on a whaleboat, and this was my holiday. I was going for fun, or so I thought. I was up all night having terrible nightmares. Every time I'd almost fall asleep, I'd hear explosions. Something was just shattering my peace of mind. And the next morning, I was just bleary-eyed. And I saw in my mind 5 orca. Again, it's a pot of 5. And I also saw some other strange kind of whale, a very bizarre whale. And he was all by himself, and he looked like a giant oyster shell. And with my knowledge of whales, that was all I could come up with. And he came through first, doing some sort of reconnaissance. And he told me he was from Hawaii, that he had swum all the way from Hawaii all by himself. Meanwhile, whatever torment these orcas were being put through was really disrupting their emotional state. They were so agitated. They were so upset.
What was causing that?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of our military experiments have to do with sonar mapping that's disrupting the sonar of the whales and the dolphins. I mean, people will call me when dolphins are beaching somewhere and they're bleeding from the ears, or whales are dying mysteriously, because we're sending out sonar waves that make them feel like they're going crazy.
Oh, dear.
That interferes with their ability to, this is how they see. It's not just how they communicate with each other. This is how they see their way through the ocean using sonar, because they see it more in a way that we would use our eyes, actually.
So this is another thing that we really need to be conscious of and see if we can develop some community around putting some pressure to stop this, because It really is torturing these evolved animals, and the military shouldn't be doing this. I remember seeing something on the news about it, and we do need to band together on all of these issues to protect these whales and elephants and everybody. I mean, it's time. It's time, isn't it?
It's past time. And the 5 orca wouldn't surface for me because I said, what's going on? She said, they're doing underwater experiments. There's military bases. And I said, will you come up and see me? She said, no. I'm not going to. Can you help me? I said, I can't help you. They won't listen to me. And then she said, well, then why should I come see you? And,
good point.
And come to find out that one whale was a sperm whale. And this ship had a scientist on board who was our guide. And I said, listen, I know this sounds crazy, but I see 5 orcas. She said, yes, there have been 5 orcas sighted in this area. I said, they won't surface because I can't do anything to help them. And she said they're being tortured by military experiments. She said, yes, we have 3 military bases all around us that are doing experiments underwater. And then she confirmed that this single sperm whale appeared. And he said he's been sent by his family all the way from Hawaii to see if the food population was good again in the Puget Sound. He wanted to move his entire group from Hawaii back to Seattle. She confirmed it and said they had been there 3 years prior and that pod had left for Hawaii because they'd run out of food up there, and this one little ninja whale, this teenage male marine, goes sailing all the way up to send information back home. Now, even more mysteriously, not only can he take in information through his sonar, he can relay that information back to his people in Hawaii.
Amazing. My goodness.
Yes, incredible. Incredible. We got to do something to protect these magnificent animals. Do you ever do petitions and things like that on your website that we could become a part of?
More and more people are starting to care, and on every chapter, I'm not just telling terrible stories about how we can't help. I'm talking about which charity to support, what we can do to help our lions, what we can do to help our elephants, what we can do to help our whales, which of the charities I think are the best. I talked about Paul Watson, who I think is brilliant, and how we can help the animals, even if that means sending $5, $10, $20. For me at this moment, every penny counts. That's going to get me to Africa start building the charity so I can take more volunteers. I took 2 beautiful ladies with me, mother-daughter team, who wanted to go up and help the orphans and work with the gorilla. So we're going to do it together. That's how we're going to do it. It's being able to bond together and say, we care about this, let's make a difference.
Well, God bless you for the work that you're doing, Amelia. It's really so necessary, and it's so great that you have found a way in to the next generation in Africa, especially about poaching, which is such a horrible thing for the animals. And we're running out of time, unfortunately, but we've got 2 quick questions for you from the chat room. One is, are we able to communicate with predatory animals whose natural instincts are to attack any person that it comes across?
Well, in my experience, that has never been the case. I've been face to face with a wild tigress who was defending her cubs. So for every practical reason, I should be dead. And everybody around that tiger should have been dead. But if we see their point of view, now, unless we're infringing on their home and their family and we're threatening them, they have no reason to attack us. And they very, very rarely do. I mean, unless one has gone insane because the humans have tortured her so much, have killed her mate, have killed her children, which I see these things. It's incredibly rare. Even in those cases, I can reach those animals through a heart full of love, and what they give me in return is a heart full of love.
Beautiful. Okay, and here's the last question from the chat room. Are characters who talk to animals like Tarzan based off of people with similar abilities?
Wow, no one's ever asked me that before.
Interesting question, huh?
I would say absolutely. Because if we look at the Kipling book, if you look at the Jungle Book, and I think for a lot of us, when we were kids, some of our favorite books and favorite cartoons were about talking animals. In fact, I'd say all of them are.
Yeah.
It's true. Never thought about it.
Exactly. Well, how interesting. Well, Amelia, how can people reach you? Let's say they want to do one of your safaris or they want you to do a reading. What's the best way for people to find you?
My website is just my name. So it's ameliakinkade.com. It's spelled Kinkade. And I'm putting a series of webinars on sale now. So these 15-week webinars are $100 off.
Wow, that's a good deal.
And on the website, I've got meditations, I've got on-camera education, I've got different audio downloads you can put on your computer. Of course, there's the books. There's the live webinar that's going to happen at Christmas time. I'm going to do a prayer special for the animals, and I'll be posting that soon. And then I'm teaching in person in Palm Springs in March. And then the Africa trips are ongoing. People can they can charter. I've got a family now that wants to charter and bring all 10 family members.
Oh, wow. That'd be fabulous.
Yes, exciting. Wowie. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Oh, gosh, Amelia, we could just talk to you all night with your wonderful experiences. We didn't even get into your fantastic aunt from the Golden Girls and your exciting experience as a Hollywood dancer and actress and you've had quite an exciting life. And here you are talking to big tigers and lions as if they're your best friends. It's amazing what you're able to do.
Thank you. They are my best friends. And if people want to read about Rue McClanahan from the Golden Girls, I guess they're just going to have to get the book.
I guess so.
That's the way to do it.
Whispers from the Wild. The first chapter is about my Aunt Rue and a miraculous healing that took place because of pretending and shape-shifting her into a tiger when she was in a coma. And it pulled her out of the coma and recovered the use of her right leg and her right hand and her ability to speak. And if people want to hear that story, and also maybe they have ailing children or loved ones or people, elderly people in homes that they want to connect with by means of bringing animal even pictures. That doesn't have to be live animals. It can be videos of animals, pictures of animals, songs about animals, anything that's going to be able to bring a new sense of healing into that person's life and body.
Fantastic. Well, again, Amelia, thank you so much for taking your time and speaking with us tonight. And everybody, you can reach Amelia at ameliakinkade.com. Get her book. It's tremendous. It's a really great book, Whispers from the Wild. And next week, PK, we've got the dark woods of Massachusetts. We're going to hear what's been going on in the forests around here. And it's darn spooky. So we're back to the spooky stuff next week. And everybody, take care. Have a great week. Until then, we'll see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Good night.